Hello YouTubers, and today I'm going to basically be ranking the masters from worst to best. Now there are a couple of rules for this list just to make it a bit more easy and a bit more concise. Number one, no cameo only maskers, so no child mute masker cameos and no masker being destroyed by Daleks at the start of the TV movie. So none of that is not counting in this list. Also, Big Finish will be included in this list. So any Big Finish mask as well. There's only one, but that will also be included in this list. So without further ado, let us begin. So, who's gonna pick the worst spot? Well, Eric Roberts. Of course, it was going to be Eric Roberts. And to be honest, I had a little bit of hope for him in the Diary of River Song Series 5. However, surprisingly, he was worse in the Diary of River Song Series 5 as the Master than he was in the TV movie. I didn't think that was possible, but yeah, he is. At least in the TV movie, there was some entertainment value where he got his pizzazz on towards the end, but in that, he's just basically a bland, boring person on monotone level for an hour. Yay! To be honest, there's not a lot I can see about Eric Roberts. The thing is, at least in Big Finish, they're kind of writing him as the Master, so now I can safely say that it wasn't the right thing, or not just the writing in the TV movie, which made the Master bad. It was basically Eric Roberts' performance. He's I don't know, he's just not really. I don't know if he's the fact that he's not suited to the role, or it feels like he doesn't really know what the role is. It seems like he's pretty clueless on it. Maybe he should have done a bit more research. Maybe he should have just turned it down. Maybe they should have got someone else. Probably the latter. But hey, there you go. So, next up on the list, it's a joint tie. And to be honest, I had to give a lot of consideration. In fact, I've had to actually refilm this segment because after shooting it, I actually decided to change my mind after thinking it through. So, in the next joint position, we have John Sim and Michelle Gomez for actually very different reasons. Michelle Gomez is capable of playing the Master because in certain bits when she is written correctly as the Master, she can actually pull it off. Unfortunately, she is rarely written as the Master and is normally written as a completely different character to the Master. So rather than being the Master being, sort of suave and well spoken and charming, she is normally written as generic wacky zine insane person, and so is John Sim. To a lesser extent, he is written as a bit wacky zine, but to a slightly less extent than what she is. But I was hoping Big Finish would hopefully come to the rescue in terms of Missy, and tiny bits. They do write a slightly better. I've only listened to the Diary of River Song Series 5, which she appears in. I don't intend on buying the Missy Chronicles. And in that one, there are some bits where, yeah, I'm convinced that she is the Master, but for a lot of it, it's like, oh god, like doing the generic Missy thing. Oh, I'm so insane, I'm bananas, kind of thing. Now, why is John Sim here? Well, basically, John Sim was initially lower until we got the Dr. Falls, where he was actually a lot more convincing as the Master. Now, I don't know whether this was due to the writing or whether it was John Sim improving on what he had done before. But we do get a bit of a better interpretation. It's still not great, and to be honest, I can't judge whether it's John Sim or it's the writing because he's had only 3 appearances as the Master. Maybe if we get his Master in Big Finish, then maybe that'll be a better point of reference. But I will give John Sim this. He can do a Master laugh, which is something we've really been missing in terms of the Master, because that is one of the things, that the Master, he does have a particular laugh. But in terms of John Sim, he's not very well written, and John Sim seemed to play him as a more cartoony villain than anything else. So, they're both sort of on the same level, and I can't really see I like one better than the other. They're both on this kind of, because neither of them are particularly the Master to me, very convincing as the Master. Which is unfortunate, but hey. They're light years ahead of Eric Roberts, at least. With that, I can tell what they're sort of trying to get on to being the Master. Whereas Eric Roberts, fucking hell, what the hell was he playing? Oh yeah, probably Terminator. Or something else. But anyway, let's move on. And this one is where things get really difficult. So, who's next on the list? Well, it's Peter Pratt. And to be honest, I love Peter Pratt as the Master. This actually feels as the most evil of the Masters. You could, for a while, you might think maybe Jeffrey Beavers, but no, the way Peter Pratt does it is that there's no charm to it at all. Now, I just said before that's back then. In this case, it is, but also you can make the argument, well, he is essentially a rotting corpse at this point. So essentially that charm sort of goes out, and you can feel that he is fueled with hatred. Utter hatred that comes through his performance, despite basically his face being completely concealed. You just have to rely on his voice throughout. And it's a shame because we only get the one appearance of him in The Deadly Assassin, which is my favourite Doctor Who story of all time. And it's, a shame. Maybe if he'd been given more stories, then, maybe they could evolve that. But unfortunately, obviously, that's never going to happen now. So we've just got this one appearance. But it still feels like the Master because you've got the whole scheming thing and manipulating people. And obviously, it's written by Robert Holmes, who wrote the first Master story. Terribly awesome. So, yeah, Peter Pratt is really good. He is definitely in the good category. It's just a shame that there's not an awful lot to the character. By this one, there's not a lot. He is just particularly evil and the hatred that is bubbling through him, but it does come across in Next up on our list, or should I say ours, it's mine. Yours may be different. Doesn't matter if it is, I don't give a shit. This is mine. But anyway, Alex McQueen is next. Told you to have a Big Finish Master, because at the time of recording this, he is the only Big Finish Master. And Alex McQueen is what I call the John Sim Master done right. Because he does have this very sort of flamboyantness to it, but they never forget that this is the Master and that, he's supposed to be very cunning, manipulative, charming, and pretty much an evil bastard most of the time, but they never lose track of who the Master is, and yet he is really good. And to be honest, he hasn't done a big finish in quite a while. I think the last one he did was in 2016, which was Vampire of the Mind with Colin Baker. But he has done enough to, get an idea of what his master is like. So yeah, I would describe him as the best way as the Johnson master done right. He's particularly flamboyant, but also when he does do these evil things and more shocking things, it's more of a shock because you're not really expecting it because you've got this, exterior that is completely different to what's going on in here. So yeah, to be honest, I haven't an awful lot to say about him. I do really like him. I think he's a pretty good master, though there's not a lot really to say about him in that sense of the matter. So without further ado, let's move on to the next one, shall we? So, next on my list, who could be next? I don't know. Oh wait, yes I do, and we're about to find out, are we? So, this is where things start getting a bit more difficult, but it's difficult, but I'm going to have to put Derek Jacobi here. A phenomenal master, the best out of all the new series masters. Easily, because he actually is the master. He plays it like the master, and Derek Jacobi has the charm of the master, bang on, hands down. And particularly in the War Master box set, you really get a good idea of how he is able to play up his charm and sophistication, but also how he's able to disguise it and come across as a nice, and caring person. And then for the rug to be pulled under a lot of the time, because some of the stuff he does is pretty evil, but it manages to be surprising. And it shows that this is a master who will go to any lengths. And out of all of the masters after the classic series, this is the closest to an original, Delgado-esque master. He is really good. It's such a shame that we didn't get more of him on television. It is such a shame because his performance is so powerful and cultivating the whole time. He is phenomenal, and he is actually one of the reasons why I bought the Diary of River Song Series 5, because I basically made a vow to myself saying I would buy any big finish that had Derek Jacobi as the master in it, which is why I bought that. Otherwise I would have not bothered if it wasn't for this other reason, which I'll get to later. So yeah, Derek Jacobi sits firmly here. Alright, we're into the top 3 now, and this is where things get very difficult. For me, choosing them. For you just have to watch the video. Or if you're a naughty bugger, you'll just skip through it. Don't do that! But anyway, we now get to Anthony Ainley. This was incredibly difficult to do, but Anthony Ainley is here. And Anthony Ainley is fantastic as the master. He is, when people think of the master from the classic series, they'll either think of Roger Delgado or Anthony Ainley. And Anthony Ainley played the master for the longest time on screen because he was the master throughout all of the 1980s. Quite literally, he was there from at the very end of Keeper of Traken, and he was there all the way up until the final classic series story, Survival. And he is just a joy to watch, and it's clear that he is enjoying playing the master. When you see, the behind the scenes on the DVD, seeing how Anthony Ainley loved two things. He loved cricket and playing the Master. And it's clear that he really loved it. And this is a Master who basically just used anyone, and then when they were done, just toss them aside. And it really felt as it, you really got a sense of the sort of isolation where the Master would just use people. And also this was sort of a lot of pinnacle disguises, and sometimes disguised for no reason. Obviously we've got the Khalid, a disguise that really had no purpose, and then in Mark of the Rani he's disguised as a scarecrow for no real reason either. I don't know, but the thing with it is he is very calm most of the time. This Master, a lot of the time, is very calm in in every situation that he's in, and very rarely does he raise his voice. And when it does, it feels like, that's it. His inner self breaking out. He puts on, a very charming persona over the top of it, and is a way of gaining people's trust, but also it's a way of, you've got no idea what he is thinking. And I think also, while Roger Delgado obviously had a laugh, I think Anthony Ainley sort of brought it up a notch. It made it more of a thing. Because although Roger Delgado did laugh, Anthony Ainley sort of laughed a bit more and made that sort of one of the character traits. And since he was the Master for longer, they were able to also develop this incarnation more so than they'd done previously. So, yeah, Anthony Ainley, really, really good. Really solid Master. Alright, we've only got 2 Masters left, so as soon as I reveal one, you'll know who the other one is. So at number 2, sitting right in the middle, is Geoffrey Beevers. And to be honest, Geoffrey Beevers was not always at this point. In fact, Geoffrey Beevers would have been infinitely lower on my list if it wasn't for one thing, and that's Big Finish. Geoffrey Beevers as the Master, his voice is so deliciously evil, yet also charming at the same time, which is a theme throughout this video. But you can feel the hatred that this Master has, and the pain he feels, and the desperation as well of, trying to stay alive and get a new body at last. And also, he is also described by Tom Baker, no less, as silky smooth Geoffrey, which his voice obviously is very, very smooth and that, but it's pretty much, as I said, with the Peter Pratt Master, you got a sense of, the evil and the hatred and the desperation. But with Beevers, you also get the charm of the Master on top of that as well. But also the fact that in Big Face they were able to develop it, and also being able to progress it a lot further. And my favourite Big Finish story is Master, starring Geoffrey Beevers, and they really do flesh him out a lot. And this was the other reason why I bought the Guy River Song Series 5, because I made a vow with myself that whenever Geoffrey Beevers plays the Master in Big Finish, I will have to buy that Big Finish. So since he was in that, I'd have to buy that box set. And he is really good, and particularly when he's put against Tom Baker and that in the Fourth Doctor Adventures, particularly with Leela, who refers to the Master as the Evil One. So yeah, it's basically thanks to Big Finish why he's climbed up on my list. He is so phenomenal in this role in that. He pretty much wears it like a glove, and when you also he understands the character of the Master as well, because he wrote a Big Finish short trip last year, which came out on Halloween, called "I Am the Master," and yeah, it was written and performed by Jeffrey Beers, and he really understands this man. I mean, he's been playing him since Keep Off Traken, but obviously that was one off, and then came back in Big Finish. But he really understands his character and gets it, and now when you think of the Master in terms of Big Finish, a lot of people either think of Alex McQueen or Jeffrey Beavers as the Big Finish Masters. Obviously, now they'll probably put Derek Jacobi on that list as well. But yeah, that is something thanks to Big Finish. And now we've obviously gone on to my number one favourite Master, only just shy of to be honest, Anki Ainley and Jeffrey Beavers, and our top one, Roger Delgado. Pretty much, I love them all almost equally, but for this list, I've got to separate them out. Delgado was so iconic, and he made this character pretty much. I mean, obviously, he was not created by him, but he was the one who, perfected it. It's like he's basically set the groundworks for everything that was to come later on. I mean, you could make the argument William Hartnell, but other people added. But whenever anyone thinks of the Master, even to this day, he is the Master. In fact, his biography, I can't remember who wrote it, is actually called "I Am Usually Referred to as the Master." But obviously, he's meant to be sort of a Moriarty, Bond villain-esque sort of foil for the Doctor, but he makes it so much more because he plays the role completely straight throughout. It would be very easy for someone to completely overplay this and be completely over the top and over exaggerate, kind of what we got with Michelle Gomez and Jong Sim, but he doesn't. He plays it completely straight, and he remains remarkably calm in all these situations. Like, for example, but he also his eyes. He has got intimidating eyes, and also he commands pretty much "You will obey me." It, just in the sound of his voice and the power of his voice. For example, in Terror of the Autons, when he tells the boss's dad to sit. No, it's not the boss's dad. It's some random employee. I think. I can't remember who it is. To sit in this Auton chair. He just has that commanding presence and that which, and everything about him, set the templates for the Masters to follow, because everyone always refers back to Delgado. Like, you could have a new Doctor come along and they'll probably, it's usually Tom Baker they'll refer to, or they'll refer to Troughton and that, but whenever there's a new Master, they'll always refer to Delgado. I mean, Michelle Gomez, was referred to Delgado when she was getting inspiration in interviews. Jong Sim. Eric Roberts, I don't know what the fuck he was doing, so probably not Eric Roberts. And not Ian Lee, I don't know. Probably, maybe Ian Lee, I don't know. It's weird how Ian Lee and Delgado look similar-ish. Well, not the same. But not so much with Jeffrey Beavers, because Jeffrey Beavers was more in doing the Master that Peter Pratt was doing, but in Big Finish interviews he does refer to Delgado as the Master, as a template to go off. So yeah, that is one of the reasons that despite all the masters that come after him, he is the one that they always refer back to as just like, right, you know, who is the masker? What is the masker? That is the one they always refer back to. It's such a shame that not only was his career as a masker, but also his life cut so short, unfortunately. Because it would have been interesting to, you know, see what Delgado was like if he had have stayed to do John Pertwee's final story, because obviously he would have left with John Pertwee. But, you know, they could have brought him back later on to maybe have a story with Tom, or maybe during the 80s and that would appear. But unfortunately, we'll never get that. Which is sad. It is sad because he is a great master. So, anyway, that's it for my list. My god, this took far too fucking long. I thought this would be a nice, quick thing, and it isn't. So, while I sit here at my granny's, I would say, you know, let me know who your favourite master is in the comments below. Though please don't, because I don't care. Because stuff. But anyway, I'll see you in the next video of whatever I'm going to do, and let me know of what videos you might like to see me do in the future, because yeah, I'm not quite sure what to do at the minute. I mean, we've got the word of some more figures coming along and that, but really, you know, I'm not quite sure on what I should do next. Should I start reviewing Big Finish? Should I start reviewing episodes? Let me know in the comments below. That would actually be useful. So yeah, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. I literally can't get up from this position. The slow move back up at what I'm presuming is probably an unflattering angle. But hey, if you were lucky enough, you got to see this video in 4K. I don't, because I don't have a 4K anything. I mean, the camera's 4K, but my home screen isn't, my laptop isn't, my TV isn't. Now we're going in the extreme other direction. Let's stop that. Let's fucking end this video now! So, after Eric Roberts, it's kind of a joint next up on my list. I was debating this. In fact, actually, during this video, I actually decided to change my mind during recording. But next up is John Bleh.